Hey everybody, how y'all doing? Hey John. Hey Klaus, I'll be down at the Aloha Festival the first week of May in southern Germany. Looking to be a good time. I think Charlotte Pelgin will be there, and Jan Hassler and Hardy. It's gonna be a fun festival. I'm really looking forward to coming over there for a weekend and playing some music. If you haven't had a chance yet, I pinned to the top of the chat a link for the PDF for today, which we have already found has one mistake on it. I'm sure we'll find one more before the hour's out, but it doesn't matter. If you don't want to download the PDF, you don't need to, and you won't need it, but it'll be nice to remember some things when we're done today. So we're going to go over a bunch of material. We'll be learning a tune, and then we're going to be talking about how we can use some diminished chord tricks to add some spice to our playing without too much thought, which is always the goal when we're playing music, is not thinking too much and playing music. Isn't that a wonderful thing? So before we get kicked off here, I'm just going to play a little bit for you. Today we're going to be learning the song Three Little Words. If you don't know it, I'll play it for you so we can hear what it sounds like. Magic Ukulele Club members that are here, you're probably already familiar with it because we started working in this tune on Wednesday. So we'll get some good practice on this tune as well. We'll learn it a little bit off the chart today, and then we'll talk about some chord substitutions. So we get a little bit something that sounds like this. Three little words. Oh, what I'd give for that wonderful phrase. Hear those three little words. That's all I live for the rest of my days. And what I feel in my heart, they tell sincerely. No other words can tell it half so clearly. Three little words, little letters which simply mean I love you. Three little words, eight little letters, which simply mean I love you. A fun little swing tune to get started with today. So if you haven't heard it, you've heard it now, but we'll be playing it for the next half hour or so before we dive into the chord substitutions, just starting to learn this tune. For most of y'all, this is going to be a lot of chords that we already know. We're in the key of F, but we might use some chord voicings you don't know, and we will definitely have at least one chord that you probably haven't played before, and that'll be the focus of sort of the rest of the live stream, is what we can do with that one chord and some of the other fun sounds that are in here. So if you downloaded the sheet, we're going to be starting on an F major chord. You can play your plain regular F major chord, 2 open, 1 open. I'm going to play it with my pinky here on the 3rd fret, 2 open, 1, 3. And that's our wrong note on the PDF. It's notated as 4, but we don't want an F augmented triad now, do we? That's no fun. So we can play 2 open, 1, 3 here, or whatever F you want. All Fs are created equal, so take your pick. And we're going to strum this for 3 full measures. And then we have a chord that you probably don't know, which is an A flat minor 6 chord. Fun tune. So we're going to play this like this. We're going to bar across the 1st fret. I'll show you another way to finger this as well. Your ring finger will go on the 3rd fret of the C string, and your middle finger on the A string on the 2nd fret. So we end up with 1, 3, 1, 2. Now, of course, you can play this with individual fingers like this. I find that rather cramped. If you feel like this is an impossible chord for you, play the diminished chord on your first fret, 1, 2, 1, 2. It's absolutely fine. It will work. It's actually the original harmony of the tune, but our melody note is this note that's in the A flat minor 6, so it's nice to have there. So our first couple measures just sound like this. Dee, da, da, dee. Boo, da, do, da, da, da. All right, so we got this first little change here. And then we're going to go to a C7th chord. Now you can play C7th like this if you want. I'm going to play a bar chord here. We're going to see later when we talk about more chords, using these bar chords will give us a little bit more perspective on some of the things that we're going to talk about later. So play this 3, 4, 3, 3 if you'd like. But if you don't like bar chords, play regular C7th. And it'll be absolutely fine. And that, my friends, is the A section of the tune. That is 75% of the song we are already done with. Because we need to think about the form of the song. It's an A, form, which means we have a lot of repetition. There's only 3 chords in the A section, which gives us time to be able to practice getting to that A flat minor 6, because this is the one that most of y'all probably have not played before. And these minor 6 chord shapes are really, really important. If I was going to learn just 3 groupings of shapes on the instrument, I would probably learn my dominant 7ths, my minor 6ths, and my major 6th. That's it. I could play anything I wanted with just those 3 groupings of shapes. So this is one of those sort of unavoidable shapes as you go along in your uke journey, especially if you want to play swing and jazz music. You're going to need this, and we'll see that's very versatile a little later on. So we're going to get used to playing this shape, which means we're just going to play our A section a few times, round and round and round, and find your way into this shape from your F. See how you can get there as easily as possible. And if you need to rest for that 3rd measure of the F chord, just to kind of prepare for that A flat minor 6, that's okay for right now. We're going to take it sort of slow. I'm going to call out the chords, and then we'll start to speed up like a train going down the tracks as we go. So let's put down that F chord. I'm going to call out every chord as we go along. And really focus on that A flat minor 6. That's probably the new one for most of us. 1, 2, 3, 4 on F. Da, do, da, D. Still on F. Here comes our A flat minor 6 right now. 2, 3, over to C7th. We have 4 measures of this. Yes, that's right. We're still here. Play any C7th that you want. Learn how to play with this in a moment. And back to F. 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2. Here comes our A flat minor 6. Up to C7th. Then we'll relax here for a moment. Maybe check in with ourselves, make sure we're not clamping down on the neck too hard. Back to the top, we're a little bit faster. To F. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. A flat minor 6. To C7th. Good bar chord practice on this tune. Back to F. 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3. Here comes our A flat minor 6 to C7. This is a great thing to do whenever you're learning a tune. Just take one of your chord progressions in the tune and loop it. Make it mindless. And then start, humming the melody. You get F, da, do, da, dee. Boo, da, da. A flat minor 6, da, C7, da, 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 da. And the good thing is, you don't have to call out the chords while you're doing it. Ba, da to F, da, do, D, da, 3, 4. Yo, da, A flat minor 6, da, 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 da. All right, I'm not gonna call out the chords. We're gonna speed it up. Ba, ba, da, 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 da. Ba, da, do, da, 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 da. Ba, ba. Again, da, 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 da. Ba, da, 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 da. One last time. Ba, da, 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 da. Ba, da, 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 da. Ba, da, da, dee. So we're going to play that section 2 times. That's our first A section. And then we're on to the bridge. And our bridge is going to start on an F 7th chord. So our bridge will sound like this. Ba, ba, da, 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 dee, dum. Ba, ba, da, dum, ba, do, do, da, da, dee, da. And we have a cool little turnaround, which is what we're going to be focusing on in a few minutes. That's at the end of this. But the rest of the bridge is fairly simple. We start on an F 7th chord. So if you're already playing your F as 2, open, 1, 3 with the pinky down, right? Remember I said pinky, not ring finger, because then my ring finger's free to grab that E flat there. 2, 3, 1, 3. We're going to strum that for 2 measures. Da, do, da, 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 da. C minor 7th. And we want to note something here. We were just playing a C 7th across the 3rd fret, right? This C dominant 7th chord shape. Our C minor 7th shape is not some brand new shape. We're just taking the 3rd of this chord, the E, and we're dropping it down. And there's our C minor 7th. We already know this chord. We're just gently modifying it. And then we go back to F 7th. So our first 4 measures of the bridge sound like this. We get F 7th, 2, da, da, da. C minor 7th to F 7th. All right, let's try that together. Just the first 4 measures of the bridge, starting on F 7th. 1, 2, 3, 4. Da, do, da, 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 da. C minor 7th, D, F 7th, D. One more time. 1, 2, 3, F 7. Da, do, da, D. Ba, da, da, D. D. And this is our time to stop and think and ask ourselves, where does an F 7th want to go to? Dominant chords always want to resolve up a 4th. So that brings us to B flat. And I'm going to play a B flat 6 here because I hate B flat. Open, 2, 1, 1. Get this nice color tone. Remember, I said the 6th chords are more important than the major chord shapes. There also are minor 7th chord shapes. There are also major 9th chord shapes. They're beautiful, flexible beasts. So B flat 6 for 2 measures. So after F 7th, resolves to B flat 6. That's exactly the resolution that we want for it. So our bridge, if we add these next 2 measures on, and then we'll talk about that turnaround. Start on an F 7th, da, 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 da. C minor 7th, D, da, B flat 6, D, da, 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 ba, do, do, da, 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 da. We get this cool little chromatic walk down. There's E flat 7. Many of you might not have played before, but you sure have all played a D 7th, right? It's one of our movable bar chord shapes. We need to know our dominant chord shapes. If we know our D 7th, it's just up 1 fret. And all we're going to do is do 2 strums on each one, bring it down a fret each time. And we'll see in a moment where this comes from, because this seems like it sort of comes from left field. E flat, D 7th, D flat, and C 7th makes sense because we're coming back to F, right? But all of this will be explained. So we're just going to do 2 strums on this. So E flat, so clearly. All All right, so let's try our bridge. This is our whole bridge, starting on F7th, and we're actually going to loop this because we can loop the bridge chord progression as well. And if you practice these things in smaller chunks, you'll internalize them faster than if you're trying to just read the sheet down every time you pick it up. In reality, this song is just 2 8-measure chunks that you need to learn. And if you practice them separately, you'll have the tune in no time. But if you're going through and playing through the song time after time after time, guess what? You're going to practice the A section 3 times as much as you're practicing the B section. And the B section's the harder part of the song. Give them each their equal time as a piece of the tune to play. So let's start on this bridge section, and we're going to loop it. So after our C7 at the end, we're going right back to F7. The first few times, again, I'll just walk you through the chords, then we'll add the melody. Starting on F7. 1, 2, 3, 4. F7, C minor 7th, F7, B flat 6, E flat 7, D 7th, D flat 7, C7. I'm thinking slide it back. F7, 3, 4, 1, 2. Here comes our C minor 7th, F7, B flat 6, E flat 7, slide it back. One more time, F7, C minor 7, F7, B flat 6, E flat 7, D7, D flat 7, C7. And then we're back to our final A section. You already know the A section. The only thing that happens is something that's typical in swing tunes in the very last A section. So remember in our A section, we did F, A flat minor 6, and then C7 for 4 measures because we were looping right back around to the beginning. But here we want a resolution. So the C7 is only going to be for 2 measures, come back to F. So no new chords, just a slight change in timing. And obviously, we're going through this fast. For Magic Ukulele Club members that are here, we'll be learning the melody to this song next week. So if you're not singing it, we'll have it on the instrument. When you know the melody to this song, you know how the form goes and you know the resolutions of them because we're hearing that melody and how it relates to the chord as opposed to just thinking about chords. Today, because we're going through this rather fast and we're talking about chords, we're focusing on that. But when you go to really learn this tune, make sure that even if you're not playing the melody on the instrument, although I highly recommend it, at least learn to hum the melody. Sing it with the lyrics, even better. But if you could just hum it, whistle it, play it on a kazoo while you're playing, having the chords in relation to the melody is going to help you remember those chords better because you're going to actually hear and feel those landing points. So you're not going to think about, okay, 3 measures of F and then A flat minor 6 and then C7. Yes, we need to know the order. That's why we're practicing this now. But you'll hear in the melody, ba, ba, da, dee, ba, da, do, da, da. That note right there doesn't work over top of an F, but it does work over top of the A flat minor 6. When you sing that or you play the melody, your ear is going to go, that A flat minor 6 goes here. Same as when we get to the C7. Same as with all these changes that happen in the bridge. If we know the melody of the song, we don't have to think about how long am I playing these chords for. I just have to know the chord progression and use my ear to listen to how everything relates. So we're going to take this from the beginning a couple times. I'm just going to call it out at first, and then I'll sing through the melody with you. Feel free to hum along, sing along with me. And then we're going to talk about how we can take a lot of these sounds and really start to play with them and understand the flexibility of the harmony in this song and also where some of these weird chords come from. What's that A flat minor 6? Where's that E flat 7 come from? The D7, the D flat 7th, all these chords that have no right being in the key of F. We're going to see where all of them come from and that it's really not that weird. So we're starting on an F. We're at the beginning of the tune. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. On F. D, da, da, D. Boo, da, da. A flat minor 6, da, C7th, da, 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 D. You stay here for a while. Do, da, da, back to F, da, da, D. Boo, da, da. A flat minor 6, da, da, D, do, da, D. Da, da, F7, da, 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 C minor 7th, F7, B flat 6. Here comes our turnaround. E flat 7, D7, D flat 7, C7, back to F, da, 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 da. But da, da, A flat minor 6 to C7. For one more measure, back to F. I'm going to sing the melody so you can hear how this relates. Da, 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 D. Listen for that A flat minor 6. Bo, da, do, di, da, to C7, da, 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 D. I'm going to play it in a different place so you can hear that melody note more. Bo, da, 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 do, di, da. Bo, da, do, da, 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 di, do, da, di. Here comes our bridge. Ba, da, da, F7, da, do, di, da, ba, da, C minor 7, F7, B flat 6, da, da, da. Here's our turnaround, E flat 7, D7, D flat 7, C7, A section, da, da, da. Bo, da, A flat minor 6, da, da, C7, and back to F. One last time, a little bit faster. F, da, 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 da. Bo, da, 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 da. C7, da, 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 da. Repeat the A section. Da, 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 da. Bo, da, 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 da. Here comes our bridge. Ba, da, 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 do, da, da, da. C minor 7th, D, back to F7, over to B flat, da, 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 D. Turn around, do, do, di, da, last A section, do, da, di. Bo, da, do, da, 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 di. And that's 3 little words. So the big thing is to go and practice this, learn our 2 chord progressions that are in here and learn the melody, even if it's just singing the melody. I said for Magic Ukulele Club members, please do go learn the melody on your instrument, practice it along with the backing track. It's going to help so much to internalize these chord changes because they're not logical chord changes. It's not like we're sitting here going 1, 6, 2, 5. We have some awkward chords in here. And we want to get used to what those sounds are and especially how they relate to the melody of the tune, because what we're about to talk about is different chord substitutions that we can use and where some of these odder chords come from. But if we don't understand the melody, chord substitutions are just plugging in a bunch of random chords because we feel like it. And that's not what this is about. It's about supporting the melody of the tune, adding a new flair to it. So if we know the melody, we can start to get along with that. So we're gonna take a little theory thing here and talk about diminished 7th chords for the rest of the live stream. Remember I said if I was going to learn like 3 different chord shapes. I don't even count the diminished 7th chord in here, and you'll see why. I would learn my dominant 7 chord shapes, my minor 6 chord shapes, which we're going to see actually give us not just minor 6 chords, but dominant 9th chords and minor 7 flat 5 chords, as well as my major 6th chord shapes. Those 3 groupings of movable shapes on uke, if you're playing swing and jazz, will get you so much mileage that you need very little else. Those are the shapes that I want my fingers to be able to get in because they are just so flexible for how I can use them in harmony. So the one that we're not really going to talk about today is the major 6th chord. But if you do want to learn about the major 6th chords, my last video that I did here on YouTube on B flat chords, we go over all of those inversions and things that you can do with them. So what we're talking about today is that other classification of chords, the dominant 7th chords and the minor 6th chords. We have this A flat minor 6 in here. And when you hear this sound, I'm going to switch over to my low G because I think you can see my fingers better on here and I can talk about bass movement a little bit. Here's another voicing for it. When you hear this sound, you want to think about what kind of feeling this sound gives you. is this chord a stable chord or is it an unstable chord? When I play something like this, I can just hang out there, or maybe I can hang out there for a minute, or all these chords are nice and stable. But when I play this minor 6 chord, it has that sense of needing to go somewhere. So this is what's called a dominant sound, a get me somewhere type of chord. And all of our dominant sounds in music come from the diminished 7th chord. And we're going to see how all of those dominant chords we just played, the C7, the E flat 7, the D7, the D flat 7, the A flat minor 6, all of those chords that have that longing of I need to go somewhere, we can justify finding them from just knowing our diminished 7th chord shape. So, but we need to understand one fun little thing about a diminished 7th. Like, why is this the parent chord of all of our dominant 7th chords? So if you don't know your diminished 7th chord shape, it looks like this. There are a couple other ways to play it on uke, but 99% of the time, this is the shape that we're going to use for a diminished 7th chord. Now you note that this is a 4-note chord. So if I put this on my first fret here, I'm playing A flat, D, F, and B, or this could be a G sharp, or this could, if I wanted to, this could even be E double flat if I so chose in some weird musical context. So this is, we can name this from any root, right? This is an A flat diminished 7th chord. It's a D diminished 7th chord. It is an F diminished 7th chord, and it's a B diminished 7th chord. So you'll see when I talk about a diminished 7th chord, on uke, I'm generally not caring about what's in the bass. I'm just going to call it a diminished 7th. But the question is, how many diminished 7ths do we actually have? Well, there's 4 notes. We only have 12 notes in our musical scale. This can be any of the 4 notes. There are only 3 diminished 7th chords on the instrument. 1, 2, 3. That's it. That's all the diminished 7th chords that we have. It's A flat, D, F, and B. If I move it up here, this is A, E flat, D sharp, F sharp, G flat, C. This is B flat, E, G, C sharp, D flat. Don't try to say this all at once. I can barely do it. And that's the key here. That's it. That's every diminished 7th chord that you are ever going to run across in music is right here on the first 3 frets with one shape. But the other cool thing that this gives us is the first diminished 7th chord trick that we want to look at, which is that they're cyclical. Usually when we have chord inversions, say our F chord, F6, 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 we have 4 different inversions of the neck because there's 4 notes. There's 4 ways to lay those notes out. Because this is stacked minor thirds, it's always going to be this shape. So this chord will repeat itself every 3 frets. This is an A flat diminished 7. 4th fret, A flat diminished 7. 7th fret, A flat diminished 7. 10th fret, A flat diminished 7. And if you learn that, you also have your D, your F, your B diminished 7th. It's the same thing. If you start here, it'll just be 1 fret higher for all of them. So this gives us our first little trick that we can do with diminished 7th chords, which is one you've probably seen before. If we push it up a minor third, we get that same chord. So if I'm playing 3 little words, remember I said if you don't like the A flat minor 6, you can actually play this diminished chord here, this A flat diminished 7th chord, because it is the correct chord. The melody note just happens to be an E flat over top of that. This is what's happening. We'll see why in a couple minutes. I can take this idea of my movable diminished chord and I can play this chord shape here. Sorry, A diminished 7th chord. Oh, that's because I want this shape here. So if I take this, I go 3 little words. Da 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 da. Or I could go up 3 if I want, and I'm playing the same chord. So 2, 5, 8. I got da 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 da. Ba da 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 dee. Right, goes off to this C7. But when you have a diminished 7th chord, or any of our dominant sounds, and that's what we're going to see in a moment, any of our dominant sounds that are contained in here, you can just take it, and you want a slick little trick, slide it up 3 frets at a time, you have all of the inversions of that chord. That's the easy part of our diminished chord. And that's also just understanding that we only have 3. We have this one, this one, this one. 1, 2, 3. And then they just start to invert over our frets. We just slide that shape up and back to the first one, second one, third one, back to the first one, second one, third one. All of our diminished 7th chords right there. That's cool. We use that all the time. If you listen to like Royce Speck and things like that, you have a lot of these ascending diminished passages. But a diminished 7th chord has a very specific sound to it. I've heard this called the train coming down the tracks, like someone's tied on there. You know, that old silent movie sound of, oh no, something ominous is about to happen. But there are so many other sounds contained in here, including all 4 of our movable dominant chord shapes. Remember, those are one of the groupings of notes that we really need to know. So how do I find that from my diminished chord? So I'm going to use the 3rd fret diminished chord for this example. It doesn't really matter. So if we put that down, 3, 4, 3, 4, and I want you to use individual fingers for the moment. And what we're really listening to is a diminished chord is built up of 2 tritone intervals, or that interval that says, I want to go somewhere. Dominant chords also have this. These shapes right here, the shape that we have on our E and A string and the shape that we have on the G and C string right now, these are the 2 notes that really say, hey, make me go somewhere. Remember that F7th wanted to go to B flat? There's that shape right there. There's that tritone shape that gives me that. So our diminished chord has 2 of those. So if we take any note in a diminished chord, any one note in our diminished chord, and we move it down 1 fret and leave everything else right where it is, we have one of our dominant 7th chord shape. So let's try this. We have 3, 4, 3, 4 right now. This is our 3rd fret diminished chord. We have no context. We can't name it. Move your first finger back. We now have an A7th chord. This is our movable A7th chord. And our root of that chord is on the G string. So if you take this, whatever note you just moved back is now the root of that dominant 7th chord. So we have an A7th chord. So let's put that back. Let's go back to 3, 4, 3, 4. Now, what if we move the note on our E string down? This will now be the root. So that's going to give us an E flat here. Now I'm just going to play that. We played that E flat 7 before, didn't we? In the song, in our turnaround, we played that E flat 7, but it's coming from the same diminished chord. As this A7th chord. So there's 2 of our dominant chord shapes. By just taking the idea of here's my diminished chord, move 1 note back. So let's do the same exact thing on our E string now. So it'll be our E string root dominant 7th chord. We end up with 3, 4, 2, 3. So E7th chord, slid on up, right? So then we can finally slide back the note on our A string, and we end up with this shape, which is, oh, that's my C7th chord that we already played in the tune. So these are our 4 different inversions of the dominant 7th chord, because the dominant 7th chord has 4 notes in it. So we can place the root of the chord, the name of the chord, on any given string. So this is it. Root on the G string, root on the C string, root on the E string, root on the A string. Now, I want you to take this and make this an exercise for yourself, and it's written down on the page, to play your diminished 7th chord and find each of these 4 shapes out of it, each of these associated dominant 7th chords with the diminished 7th. Because if we're anywhere on the fingerboard, we can use these as chord substitutions without thinking about it, because I'm not thinking that my A7th is my tritone substitution for E flat 7, which it very much is. I'm thinking they both come from this diminished chord. So if I have an A7th on the page, I can play this, and I can play this, and I can play this. And they all will have some semblance of a relationship to the dominant 7th chord that I want to play. This sounds like a whole lot, but what I'm really saying is experiment with finding your diminished chord and then playing with these other ones. So let's put it in context of the song, and let's do this on the C7 chord. So in our first little bit, da 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 dee, ba da da dee da da dee. So we're on this C7th chord now. We already said it comes from this diminished 7th chord, but how do we know that? If we see a dominant 7th chord, how do we find our parent diminished? Just find the note of the name of the chord. So we need to find the C that's in here. This is why it's important to know your fingerboard. The C is on the 3rd fret of my A string. So all I'm going to do is just raise that up a fret, right? Because to find the dominant shape, we moved it back. So to find our parent diminished shape, move it up. It's a dominant 7 with a flat 9 chord, rootless voicing. But I think of it as, here's my parent shape, which means that, oh, I could do an F sharp 7. So I could do something really cool here is if I'm on this C7th chord, I know that this will sound good, but also this shape will sound cool. Whatever this is, it's an F sharp 7. Who cares? It's one of the shapes out of my dominant chord. So watch what I can do. I go, 3 little words. Oh, what I'd give for that wonderful phrase. And that gets me back to F in a very different way. The full phrase. To hear those 3 little words. And we get used to taking our diminished shape and what are our 4 associated dominant shapes in here. Then you have all the chord substitutions. You have your tritone substitution, your backdoor substitution. You have the borrowed one from your relative minor. All these 3 really common substitutions that we use in jazz. You have them without thinking about it because you think, I know my parent dominant chords. So let's take another one of these dominant chords and find our parent dominant and some things that we can do with it. How about the F7th chord that's in the bridge, right? Here's our F7th chord, 2, 3, 1, 3. And this should look familiar because this is one of those dominant 7 shapes we've been playing, right? But we want to find our parent diminished chord. Where does this actually come from? Well, where's our F? That's the question. Here's our F right here. So we need to slide that up. That's rather inconvenient, but it's our 2nd fret. Diminished 7th chord. And I can do my same thing. I go, oh, well, A flat 7 works with this. D7 works with this. There's my F, of course. And I have a B7 that works. We can do all of that, but it doesn't matter. It's the same 4 shapes. But if I know where my parent diminished is for any given shape, then I can use it. And a really cool place to do this is at the very end. I can do, feel in my heart, tell sincerely. There's my tritone sub. No other words can tell it half so clearly. Which this parent diminished shape gives us all of the 4 dominant chords that will work as substitutions without us needing to know the names, do any math. Just memorize from your diminished chord. This one exercise I have on the sheet. If I'm here, what's it feel like to slide that back, that back, that back, that back? Where are my 4 shapes around this? If you know your parent diminished, then you're good. And you have these substitutions without thinking. So we have 2 tricks that we can use for our diminished chord already. Since we know that it inverts every 3 frets, we have this trick that we can do. The other thing we can do is we can use our diminished chord to find all of our chord substitutions over top of it. Any given dominant sound, it's contained right in that diminished chord. But the coolest part is that what's the other grouping of notes that I said we need to know is the minor 6 chord shape. Now, the minor 6 chord shape, much like many of our chord shapes, depends on context, can be different names. But the chord shape that we use for minor 6 gives us all of our dominant 9 chords, which is what we're going to call it today, as well as our minor 7, flat 5 chords. And these are all dominant sorts of sounds. It's just the naming of the chord in context. They're all the same. They're all getting us to the same place. We're going to call them dominant 9th chords today because that's just the easiest way to do in the context we're doing. So how do we find all of these shapes for our parent diminished chords? Let's go back to our 3rd fret here, right? So we had seen if we move all these down, we have all our chords. Remember when we went to find it from that C7th? We said, oh, where's my C? Bring it up. So this is really, it's really like C7 we're adding a flat 9 to it. You can think of a diminished chord as a dominant 7 with a flat 9. Well, if I want a 9th chord, I said that's my flat 9. I can move it up, which means that I can take any note in my diminished shape and move it up 1 fret instead of down 1 fret. And I'll have that minor 6 or dominant 9 or minor 7 flat 5 shape that I'm going to need. And that is another substitution that means. So that means by knowing these little tricks, by having this, I have 8 chords that I can play. Well, 9 actually, because we could play the diminished 7th chord, of course, without really thinking about it over top of any dominant chord that we see, and have all of these substitutions that we usually have to think about, just knowing that they're under my finger because they're relationally to this chord. So let's find these 4. So if we take this, let's move up the note on the G string. So we're going to say this is an A9 chord in our context, but it can really be anything. Let's go back to our diminished chord. We're going to move this note up. I don't use this one terribly often, but you'll note this is our A flat minor 6 chord, isn't it? That we play in the tune. Oh, so let's find something here. Where's our parent diminished chord from here? So we're on 1, 3, 1, 2. If we slide back this, here is our chord. And there's a G7th contained in here. And in the context of that A7, da, 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 it's actually our secondary dominant to get us to the C7th that's in there. So the sharp 5 in there is all we're playing. But this A flat minor 6 is just a modification of this. And that's what's important. So we go back here. We have this shape. I don't use this one too much because, especially on high G uke, it puts that modification, that 9th down here. It can be nice in some contexts. It always depends on what's happening in the song. But I don't use that one a terrible amount. It's probably my most hated of the minor 6 voicings. So we go back to our diminished chord here. What if we take this note here and we move it up? So we get. So think of this as an F sharp 9 chord. Again, depends on context, really, as to what we would call this. But a dominant sound. Again, here, a dominant sound. And then finally, we have my favorite one that I use all the time that we're going to do a little exercise with after this over 3 little words is my diminished shape, 3, 4, 3, 4. If we move the pinky up, we have C9 shape or an E minor 7 flat 5 again. Who cares what it's called? What we're thinking right now is, I know my diminished chord shape. Let's play with some of these sounds. So let's go back to 3 little words and let's start doing this. And again, much like with your dominant 7th chord shapes, practice this. Diminished chord, move 1 note. Diminished chord, move 1 note. We want these to be like our go-to things that we can do. When we're here, we know that all of these are valid options. So if we take our C7th chord that we have in the A section, so we got da, 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 bo, da, do, dee, da, da, da. So we got da, do, da, dee, right? So we already said this is our parent diminished chord, right? 3, 4, 3, 4. So we can play this 9, da, 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 da. That's nice. Da, 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 dee. We could even play da, 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 dee. That works too. Any of these chords will work. It's shades of how much tolerance for dissonance you have. How far away do you want to get from that initial melody? So let's try these 4 shapes. So the first time we're going to land here. So we'll start on our diminished chord. So we're going to go da, 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 da. Do, da, do, dee, da, 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 dee. So that's really harsh, isn't it? So let's try one of the other ones. So let's move up the note on our C string here. So we get this shape. So we get da, 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 da. So we just slide up our A flat minor 6. Da, 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 da. This is harsh. What's harsh? It's this note. So those other 2 substitutions, this and this, probably going to sound pretty good because they don't clash with the melody. This is why it all comes back to you need to know the melody of the song to do any of this, because you'll go, oh, my melody's here or my melody's here. I can't be playing this note. You know, so da 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 da. Da 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 da. Oh, that's a nice little thing. We can walk that, and that's all diminished. We get that ninth chord, diminished, dominant chord. So over top of this C7th, we have this fun little lick that we could do. Ba, da, dee. And then maybe we'll add that F sharp at the end. All moves from what we're just talking about. So you got da 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 da, do da do da 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 da, ba da 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 da. So I'm just selecting different notes from here to try. So let's put some of this in perspective. We should talk about our turnaround really fast. Our E flat 7, D7, D flat 7, C7. What's happening here? So if we make it a diminished chord, here's my E flat 7, right? Everyone put that down. 3, 3, 3, 4. Where's our E flat? C string. So our diminished chord is, and we'll see if we look at this, E flat 7, D7, D flat 7, C7. It's just sliding the diminished chord back. So this E flat 7, it's really an A7th chord. It's coming from the same parent diminished. We're really going 3, 6, 2, 5, but we're walking it back with different shapes from the diminished by using this little congruent shape on every single one instead of going just kind of the vanilla way of how we might hear a turnaround like that. So we're going to take 3 little words. We're going to use just a couple of these chord shapes to slide around the fingerboard to get used to this. So first thing we're going to need, we need a major 6th chord shape to go around on this. We already played B flat 6, but we're going to take our F chord. So we're playing F6, 2, 2, 1, 3. Yes, this is the same as a D minor 7th chord. They're the same. So we play F, we're going to play this. The only other major chord that we have is the B flat 6 that we play, but we're going to play it up here. So we're just going to take this shape and slide it to 7, 7, 6, 8. All right, so those are our minor chords that we're going to use. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take my favorite of those minor 6 or dominant 9 chord shapes, just this one right here. And we're going to use that for all of our dominant sounds. So we're going to get through this entire tune, 2 chord shapes, slid up and down, by using the ideas that we're talking about, because we know that this 9th chord shape, this dominant sound, is going to work as a substitute for everything in the tune, because we've talked about where those diminished chords are. So we can use this. And this is just one that I like to use. We can modify it. There's so much more we can do with this. This is just the tip of the iceberg with what we can do with learning about diminished harmony. But even this, I mean, giving you 9 different chords to play on any dominant chord without thinking about it, just learning to go through the motions gives you so much. So we're going to play this. And then to play our A flat minor 6, we're going to go to our chord shape. So we're going to go 3, 4, 3, 6. Sorry, 4, 5, 4, 6. 4, 5, 4, 6. And then when we go to C7th, we're going to still use this chord shape. It's a dominant chord. 7th chord is a dominant chord. So we're just going to slide it back 1 fret. So now our A section, instead of da 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 da, oh da do dee da 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 da, which is nice. Now it's this, by just using this idea of the diminished chord substitutions. So we have our 6th chord, da 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 da, oh da do da 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 do da dee. Boo da 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 do da. 2 chords. That's all we need. So let's try this. So we got 4, 5, 4, 6, and then slide it into the C7th. And this is also our melody note. Again, respectful of the melody. So important. This is our melody note. So adding this 9th is perfect on top of it. All right. So F6. Let's try this. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. F6, da, 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 da. Slide up, da, da. Slide it back 1 fret, da, do, da, dee. We can just hang out here. Boo, do back to F6, da, do, da, dee. Boo, da, 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 da. One more time. Ba, da, 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 da. Ba, da, 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 dee. Stop right there. Keep your hand right where it is. Because our next chord's an F7th, isn't it? But we're going to slide it all the way up. So we're going to go up to the 8th fret. 8, 9, 8, 10. And there is our substitution. Da, 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 dee, ba, da, da, dee, da. We're going to ignore the C minor for a moment. You can just move the ring finger up. That's one of our other 6 voicings. And then we have our B flat 6. This is the part I wanted to show you, though, is on our turnaround, we did. It's one of our dominant chord shapes. We can take any of these shapes and slide it down chromatically. So we're going to do 6, 7, 6, 8. So that's our E flat 7 chord. Now we're adding a 9th on top of that. So for our turnaround, we get, just slide it back. You don't have to think. You don't have to think, oh no, where's my next D, the D9 and then the D flat, and then, no. Slide it back. And this is a lick that you can use as a turnaround in the key of F major. Any tune that you're doing in F major, as a turnaround, you need to get back to 1. We can do this. Of course, we can also steal some of the other dominant chord shapes. We could start mixing them together. We could do crazy things. So our bridge becomes this. And I just want to make sure that we have this so you can practice along with it. So we get F9. Da, 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 dee, da, B flat 6. Ba, da, da, da. Back to our shape. Walk it down. Da, dee, da, dee, da, da, da. And it's the same thing. So I'm going to play through this once for you now. I know getting around the fingerboard like this is going to be really tough, but you can come back to this and practice it like this, because this really puts in practice one of our substitutions that we're talking about. And if you take one at a time and just familiarize yourself with them, you'll be able to start integrate them into your playing without really thinking about it too much. Your hands will start to gravitate towards these sounds. We go, oh, I see F7th, right? I know that I have this, I have this, I have this. This is also F7, so I have this and this and this. All these sounds go together, and it's practicing that in context. So if we play 3 little words, just the 2 chord shapes, right? Our 6th chord shape, then we'll use the F and the B flat 6, and then our dominant chord shape, one of our diminished sounds. We get this: D da da D, boo da do da da D da da D. All right, do something. Da 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 dee. Boo da 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 dee da da dee. Slide on up for the F7 chord. Boo do do dee da da dee da da dee da. B flat 6. Da 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 da. New shape, slide down. D da d da d da da da. Boo da do da 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 d. It gets us around the tune with just 2 chord shapes, and we get to have some really fun substitutions here that we might not otherwise think about. You know, revoicing this A flat minor 6, playing this F9 up here. You're seeing that this is kind of that sound of a D flat 7, G7. Like, these all work in here, but you got to take some time to play with these things. Just learning arrangements with a bunch of chord shapes in there isn't going to necessarily build your vocabulary of chords that you can get at the fly. It's great for getting your fingers around new voicings, and we always need to do that. And so I keep saying it here, if I'm going to learn any three shapes, major sixth, minor sixth, which is where we're calling dominant nine here, same thing, and your dominant seventh chord shapes, with the dominant seventh chords being first because they're really important. And then looking at how all of this just comes from the diminished chord and how we can think of it as just a move. It's not a chord substitution. We're just trying a new move in this harmonic context, and it's going to get us a new sound. It might work with the melody. It might not. And the more that you get around this and get the melody in your ear and start to see how these shapes lay out, how they sound on the fingerboard, you'll start to get your own little vocabulary of chords that you can pull at any given moment, because it's not just about thinking about what could work here, what could I do, but trying things and seeing what actually sounds good. And once you get this, you can start adding a lot more extensions to the top of it and find other shapes that work and more substitutions. And we can see that there's two diminished chords that'll work over top of any dominant sound if we want to make it move. And there's so much we could do here, but this is the starting point for really being able to become flexible with your harmony and not getting tied down to this is what I need to play because it's what's on the sheet. The diminished chord and the major sixth chords are everything. I say go back to my lessons on YouTube. We have on Barry Harris's sixth diminished scale. That's going to unlock so much of this and get you thinking very differently about chords. And I think that's important. So Edwin, thank you so much for hanging out. Magic Ukulele Club members, it's really great to see. If you're not a member of the Magic Ukulele Club, do click the link and join us over there. We're working on this tune all month. Next week, we'll be learning the melody. We're doing a full chord melody arrangement of this tune this month as well. And then a bunch of different chord substitutions. So we'll see how we can put some more of these ideas to use. Thanks for hanging out, everyone. Have a great weekend. I'll see you all soon.